Hello, and welcome back to the Ghost Monster channel. Um, Today I'm just going to be doing a brief video recapping what happened this past evening, or last night on AEW Dynamite from July, what was it, 2nd? 3rd? July 3rd, yeah. No, July 2nd. Today is July 3rd. Um, the July 2nd recap of AEW Dynamite. I'll just hop right into that. I'll start by saying that in general, AEW, as far as the quality of their in ring work compared to WWE, which is what I've longer been accustomed to watching, is so exciting, so stimulating that it's almost easy to tune out. Like the way that being in a large crowd can make it easy to not hear any individual voices. Like AEW wrestlers are so athletically capable, and there's so much that happens, and the quality of the fights are so consistently high level that it's easy to unintentionally tune out the fights sometimes because there's not as big of a gap in between what is a good fight and what is a truly special fight, because there are so many good fights. Even though there's clearly a gap and it is well definable, because the special fights, when you get the chance to see them, are truly special. Um, that being said, this past uh, Wednesday on AEW Dynamite, it opened with Jon Moxley and Adam Page determining that their fight at All In would be a Texas death match, which it's interesting. They're coming from an angle of Adam Page can't beat Moxley in a death match, but the last time they fought in a death match, and the only time they fought in a death match, Adam Page beat Jon Moxley. So it's weird that they ignored that. It's also weird that Adam Page got over for hitting his buckshot lariat on Marina Shafir. I don't get that. I'm also just not a huge Adam Page fan in general. I saw a sign this week that said "Homos for Hangman" with a rainbow on it. I thought that was pretty funny. I didn't think about his sex appeal so much until that sign. But regardless, I'm not huge on this whole cowboy gimmick. Yeah, I'm just not about it. I'd rather see Will Ospreay. I'd rather see Swerve Strickland. I'd rather see Samoa Joe. I don't know. The hey, I'm better than you, let's fight gimmick really works for me. That's all it really takes. So trying to sell me on a cowboy attitude being the reason he's fighting for the company, it makes sense, I suppose, if you're a Marlboro man, but I'm not. I'm just a little guy, so I don't. I'd rather see countless other people win the world title off Jon Moxley personally. So I kind of hope that he wins. Um, and I don't. I'm this just Death Rider's death grip on the company is growing on me over time. So I don't mind it. But yeah, then Mercedes Monet retained her title against, her TBS title, because she's got like 6 belts right now. She retained the TBS title against Mina Shirakawa. Um, so that was a really impressive fight. However, and I've mentioned this before, in my personal life. I don't know if I've mentioned it in video, but I struggle to take most women's fights seriously, and I probably won't feel any differently. And as far as AEW women's fights go, until after this Mercedes Monet Tony Storm battle, because it feels like it's been brewing, and the whole division has been culminating towards this in such a way where there's not really stakes to me of whether or not Mercedes or Tony Storm are going to lose either of those belts or anything serious before they fight each other, because it really is like being booked like it's a once in a lifetime level of a feud, because of the number of belts Mercedes Monet is, and the level of renowned level of aura that Tony Storm has been farming over the past year or so. So, without saying anything about my predictions for that, because I'll probably save that for its own video. Mercedes Moné retaining against Shirakawa was a good fight, but not one that I was particularly surprised by in any way. So, if anything, I was negatively surprised that it ended with a roll up. Moving on, MJF's ring gear, his MVP inspired ring gear, it looks funny as hell, but I am so on board for this gimmick. I think it's hysterical. But at the same time, it kind of works. Kind of works for me. It's keeping me engaged with the Hurt Syndicate without them just like squashing every tag team. They can throw MJF in there, and he can take a bunch of the heat for them, and so that works. That being said, MJF won the Fatal 4-Way with Brody King, Anthony Bowens, and AR Fox for the number 2 spot in the Casino Gauntlet match at All In. That felt pretty predictable. It was a pretty good fight, but again, when it's clear who's going to win to me, and there's no chance at me being surprised, it really requires some type of impressive and unexpected or exciting maneuvers to happen on a pretty consistent basis throughout the match to keep me thoroughly engaged, or you have to really sell me throughout the match that the person I think is going to win, that seems like the predictable outcome that oftentimes ends up winning, won't win. If you can convince me they might not win during that fight that I think they're going to win in, then you got me on board, because I'll be like, oh, anything could happen, especially in a Fatal 4-Way. But I didn't feel that happened at any point, and I was right, and MJF won. Additionally, the Young Bucks and Takeshita came out and beat Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong of Paragon with Bandito. This was probably the fight of the night, low key. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I love the Young Bucks. I've been a fan of the Young Bucks for a while. I don't hate their EVP characters. And their ability to move so momentously is really what sells me on the Young Bucks. And yeah, they had a promo against Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland immediately following this match, in which their EVP status is being put on the line at All In against the opportunity for Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland to have any title shot for the next year. So if Swerve and Ospreay don't beat the Young Bucks at All In, then they cannot challenge for the world titles for an entire calendar year. But if they do, then the Young Bucks are no longer the EVPs, at least in kayfabe. I think the Young Bucks probably will win this. I'm not sure. We've still got a week or so to build this, but I think that Swerve Will Ospreay could have a pretty huge feud coming out of this loss. And keeping Will Ospreay away from the world title as long as possible is kind of what I'm here for. I think he'll have an incredible, long-lasting Superman type run once he finally gets a shot at the world belt. But I don't think that I don't think they're gonna win. So yeah, that being said, Ospreay and Strickland then immediately went on to fight the Beast Mortos and Dralistico, and having just seen the Young Bucks and Takeshita pull out all the stops in an amazing win against Bandito and Paragon, it was pretty clear to me that Ospreay and Strickland were gonna win. And while it was an entertaining bout, I had already lost that sense of interest because it was so predictable going into. Yeah, so not a bad match, but predictable. And then in the main event, Kota Ibushi versus Kazuchika Okada. I admittedly was expecting a little bit more from this. I didn't uh, lack appreciation for the fight that I was able to watch, but I feel like these two have way more to put on a show against one another, and I get not making that big of a fight uh, as huge and amazing a fight as it could have been. But had these guys had 25-30 minutes instead of 15 or so, I think it would have tore the house down. Um, that being said, it was super impressive. I haven't watched a lot of Kota Ibushi, and I'm a pretty big Kazuchika Okada fan, so I was thoroughly entertained. And seeing Kazuchika Okada get the win the way that he did was impressive. And though it was a little predictable, the hype behind Kota Ibushi uh, kept me uncertain up until about halfway through the fight, I would say. So overall, I would say that it was a pretty good episode of Dynamite. Just to recap one more time, Adam Page and Jon Moxley made it a Texas death match at All In. Mercedes Moné retained her TBS title against Mina Shirakawa. MJF beat Brody King, Anthony Bowens, and AR Fox to be the number 2 entrant to the Casino Gauntlet match. The Young Bucks and Takeshita beat Bandito and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong of Paragon. Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland defeated the Beast Mordos and Dralistico and made it a stipulation so that the Young Bucks would lose their EVP status if they win at All In, or vice versa. Ospreay and Strickland would not be able to challenge for the world titles for a year, and Okada beat Ibushi in the main event. And Kenny Omega came out to save Ibushi from the Don Callis family to end the night. So I'm going to use that to end my video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Oh. Ah!